Bal, right, this week, I did a post on LinkedIn that was the trends of F&B that are not being spoken about, and one of them was planet conscious. And I want to talk about why I didn't put sustainability, didn't put eco-friendly, and all this type of business, and put planet conscious, because I really believe that we have to strike a balance between eco and being conscious when it comes to the planet. And some people might come out and attack that, but I think there's ways we can do good as a business, but there's certain bits, especially in the kind of luxury hotel market, mid-scale hotel market that we work in, where you sometimes push the boundaries too far. And we're going to talk about some of those today so that it kind of it explains what we mean. But I thought today we could cover the 5 tips to be planet conscious in F&B, because I think everyone's under that. I know that events are being asked what their sustainability pledge or eco pledge is, and you don't necessarily have to tick all the boxes, but show that you care and show that you're doing things is a big thing for them. So I've got the 5 tips, and I haven't shared them with you
Uh-huh.
because I want to show how adaptable you are to tricky situations. So the first one, how to be planet conscious in F&B. For me, this starts in design. And I think certainly when we're working on new projects, when we worked with the Social Hub, there's a case study on our website about when we worked with them on kitchen design. We really worked on elements that we could do that might add a little bit extra onto CapEx. And though if you're listening to this and you manage CapEx or you sign off CapEx, yes, we're asking you to maybe spend a little bit extra. But what it does is long term, it gives the operations much more efficiency, which makes your operational P&L look far stronger, which, let's face it, is where the valuations come and where the hotels are judged. So I want to talk to you on that, and I'm about what we did there, and then I know you've got some other bits in there as well. But when it came to the kitchen, we followed a few different principles. The first one was we eliminated gas out of the kitchen. Now, most landlords, most buildings now are eliminating gas anyway, but there's a couple of good benefits on that. First of all, it reduces the amount of ventilation you need, which saves you money on CapEx. So there we go. I've just saved some money. I'm going to spend it again. So it saves the amount of ventilation you need, but more importantly, it reduces the heat in the kitchen, makes it a much more palatable environment for people to work, especially in the summer and things like that. And therefore, you're not having to pump aircon on all the time. And it goes back to, again, saving those utilities. So I'd really encourage anyone to go induction. If you can't go induction, electric's good. But the induction's much more efficient and much better at doing what it did. So that was the first thing that we did. The second thing that we did was we put dewaterers into the waste areas. So what a dewaterer is, for people that might not know, you put your food waste into a segregated bin. All that food waste goes into the dewaterer. It sucks all the water out of the food and puts it down the drain. It's totally clean. There's no drama about it going down drains and grease and all the rest of it. What it leaves you with is essentially a load of dry food waste. That food waste then can be sent off to be biofuel. If your hotel has got powered by biofuel, it can go on and it can be used for that, saving you on utilities. But more importantly, certain places in certain countries in Europe charge for waste by the volume. So when you take all the water out, you compact all the food out, it's reducing the cost of your waste collection because the volume is far less than just tipping bins of food into
Mm.
the waste bins as well. So that was the second thing that we did. The third thing that we did was we put tropical condensers on all the refrigeration, the walk-in refrigeration. What's happening? Global warming, rising temperatures, whatever you want to call it, is happening. I think it's 2 degrees more now than it was 5, 6 years ago. So, what we would normally have put in our kitchens now, in the height of summer, even in the UK, is being challenged from a temperature perspective. What that means, it means it's going to pull more on your utilities, so your utility bills are going to go up, but it's also going to pull on the equipment itself, and it's either going to result in more maintenance or a far less lifespan on that piece of equipment. So by putting proper compressors on there, it really helps to kind of keep that utilities in line with where it should be. And it also means that your equipment's going to last longer. It's going to have less breakdowns, etc., etc. So it makes a big difference from that. So that was some of the bits that we did with the social hub to really work on how we can help, one, the planet, two, the ongoing operations as well, which is kind of a byproduct. And it's interesting, Bal, right? Because most people think of sustainability and eco as something that's just going to cost lots of money. But
Yeah.
actually, you can find
Yeah.
ways that can then make it more efficient.
Yeah. A lot of people, like you said, they think it's going to cost a load of money. And a lot of operators or owners, the first thing that comes to their mind when they think about sustainability and being planet conscious is wooden knives and forks.
Mm.
It's too late,
Yeah.
right? If that's your sustainability point within your restaurant or your operation, everything's already happened, right? Yeah, you can reduce plastics. That's all important, but it's too late. And one thing you said about the dewaterer, that's genius. I wish we had those
Mm.
in our kitchens. And what we wouldn't find out is heavy maintenance and £5,000 degreasing units. We wouldn't have had them. Yeah, that is genius. And then using it as biofuel, and I don't know if you can use it as, like clean fertilizer. I'm sure there's
Mm.
going to be a use for that some way.
100%.
The other thing that come to my mind was a friend of ours. Um, he's a bit crazy, but he runs a very successful pub, massive, massive volume in Greenwich. And he's done a lot of work to kind of restoring that building. And one of the things he does or uses is to all his cooling for all his refrigeration. He's cooling for his multiplex, for his drinks cooling, and AC. It's all water cooled, so it works like an antifreeze, and it's just constantly getting circulated around. And he's only changing filters, and I think there's like a 12-month or an 18-month kind of antifreeze type top up, and
Interesting.
it's super efficient. It's blowing everything out the water by about 25-30%. That's what Frank was saying. So that's
Wow.
I couldn't name one. I've never come across it before.
Mm.
Um, but that just come to mind because we were looking at Frank's operation and
Yeah.
working with his team a little while ago. So
But I
that
guess that's what, sorry to interrupt, but I guess that's where, again, is really challenging your kitchen designers to tell you what is hot on the market right now, right? We work with NWCE here in the UK. Great business. They are hot on the trends of what's happening. So when we
yeah.
go to them with a project like I've just talked about, Nick and Lyndon and the team there are like flying out with gems that can help us add value to our clients. And I think that's my takeaway, especially from what you've just said, is really push your kitchen guys to go, what is going to save me money in the long run? But maybe cost me a bit now, and then do the maths. Like we put in induction, okay, say fryers, electric fryers, maybe 2 grand more than gas, circa. What is that going to deliver you over the lifespan of that equipment, 5 to 10 years, in savings in utilities because you've not got gas? When we did that for the social hub, it was really clear that there'd be a clear ROI. And therefore, it made it a lot easier to go to investors and say, we might need a little bit extra cash because this is the result. It's going to help with sustainability missions, which is going to help us drive more events business, but also we're going to get this operational efficiency. It's a really easy sell, isn't it?
Yeah, and that technology has moved on from like our days of operating. Geez, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, in core in our years of operating, a lot of kit didn't last, and the
Mm.
constant maintenance is because the technology has moved on. The induction is one, and electric equipment, it's not just like it's electric as opposed to gas, and it has the same function. Everything that goes behind it, the thermostats are different, the way it recovers is different. The materials that are used on that kit is different and more energy efficient. And I think like we're talking about efficiency energy wise quite a lot here, and that's important. because as a business, as a kitchen, we've got loads of appliances going 13, 14, 15 hours of the day. That is a big thing to be considered if you want to kind of be planet conscious and be sustainable.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
the draw on energy.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. And then I think the other thing is in the front of house design as well. And
Yeah.
Mango talks about this a lot. Um, you'll get to meet Mango, and Bal's going to do some interviews with him on restaurant design. But he often talks about how, again, looking at reclaimed materials can add authenticity, can really add value to a design, but can also help in terms of adding to that planet conscious piece around kind of taking something reclaimed,
Yeah.
restoring it back to its beauty. Like, how many times do we walk into places and there's carpet on the floor? And the first thing we say is, what's underneath the carpet? Because if it's a wooden floor, we're having it. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
right.
those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes in hotels, especially, we think we have to put marble and carpet everywhere. And actually, sometimes if you can unlock some gems in some of these historical buildings, it can save you on capex and it can look absolutely stunning after. And you're utilizing the beauty of what was there in the first place.
Yeah. Like one brand I worked with Shake Shack for some years. And what they would do, they were really good at trying to make their units look unique.
Mm,
Um, and what they used to use for the tables were old bowling alleys, lanes,
amazing.
right? And they'd stamp it to say, this has come from a bowling alley. And I remember when we opened Stratford, some of the wood we used in Stratford was like a windmill, an old windmill. You know, you get the outer
Mm.
sheathing. I can't remember what they're called. The wood
Like
paneling,
the slats, like
the
the
slat.
slats thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they use that on the
Amazing.
in the restaurant design, and it to make it more local rather than get
Mm,
things imported. And then I think it was maybe New Oxford Street where everything came local, local being the UK, not tiles from Italy,
mm.
not wood from Norway, wherever. Everything was local within the UK. And a percentage of that was reclaimed. So there's yeah, and it looks cool, right?
Mm. Yeah, it does. I
You
mean,
know?
sometimes there's nothing worse than getting a nice new shiny restaurant because the first person who taints the bar, scratches the bar,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
first chair that where the pad's gone and it's scratchy. Sometimes like it's nice to feel worn, isn't it? Like it doesn't
yeah,
feel brand new and sparkling. So
yeah, yeah.
no, 100%. Now, number two is food waste.
Oh,
Food
yes.
waste is then going to lead nicely into tech. But let's talk about food waste because for me, this is probably the single biggest opportunity that F&B guys have got to be better for the planet is food waste. And I guess on food waste, let's add another one in, which is responsible buying as well. I think it's super
Yeah,
important. So let's
yeah.
talk about food waste. Big buffets, lots of them, conference, banqueting, meetings, events, breakfast, blah, blah, blah. Lots of waste going through, lots of abundance. Um, I guess the message is quality, not quantity, right?
Mate, talking about buffets, I just came from a holiday and the breakfast buffet.
Mm.
It would look, don't get busy, people were using it, but you go like, how many? When I say pastry basket, Scott, right, we're talking of 2 foot by
Yep.
1.5 foot pastry baskets that deep, full of. They are not getting used.
Mm.
What's happening to that? It's not going to be good enough for the next day because it's been out for several hours. Yeah. So just one small thing in changing to the design of the basket. So you're going to store less and put less out. Then you look at your storage. The other thing is what you're going to do with that food,
Yeah.
right?
I interviewed a guy called Till Sheffer on Hospitality Huddles, and he's from a company called Falkensteiner, and he was saying what they did was they in the lobby and they were nervous about it at first, but in the lobby they put how much waste they'd had from the buffet and said, "We need your help. Like,
Wow, that's
take what
brave,
you
isn't
want."
it?
It's brave, but
Yeah.
he said it had an impact because people were shocked by how much waste was going through. And I think, everyone listening to this has probably been to an all-inclusive resort, knows exactly what we mean. If not all-inclusive, definitely been to a cruise ship or something like that. Um, and I think food waste is a major problem in our industry that we should get better at. And within that, I guess how you then use those products, as you said, we did a bakery brand, Chestnut Bakery, and we were really hot on utilizing leftovers for other products. So a few different things we did. We took all the white and the wholemeal sourdough at the end of the day. Our head baker made almost like a pulp with it. And then that pulp went back into a mix and we made a no waste sourdough bread the next day.
Nice.
So we were regenning it, and
Yeah.
honestly, it was as good, if not better, than the proper sourdough that was there. Went really well. We did a vegan uh cinnamon bun latte. So we got the oat milk or whatever milk we were using. We got all the leftover cinnamon buns. We soaked them for 48 hours in the milk. The milk took on the flavor of the cinnamon bun, but not just the cinnamon, but like the butteriness from the pastry as well. And then we mixed that almost like an iced latte in with the coffee, made this delicious drink that was completely done with waste products. Our cinnamon bun was vegan, so it was completely vegan, amazing product. So there's all little bits like that, taking croissants, taking bread and butter pudding, all this type of thing that can be regened is such a great piece to do. And I'm going to release this right after we've spoken to Wojciech, who is a master at using food and food waste. And it was an awesome episode
Unbelievable.
about how to use food, how to use that into the mini bars, how to take even banana peel and make things with it. It was just if you haven't listened to it yet, listen to it. It's a phenomenal episode. And I think it just goes to show with a bit of innovation, a bit of out the box thinking, a little bit of care, a little bit of love, you can do some phenomenal bits. And the benefits of it is you help your food cost. The big aim of it is let's not waste a lot of food and just do really good stuff that people would enjoy.
Yeah, 100%. Like going back to Wojciech, some of the stuff that I've read him doing online is phenomenal. Like
Mm,
he's saying, use some of the waste to create treats to then put in the minibar because the minibar are
mm,
a pain in the ass for any hotel operator. No one wants to touch them, no one wants to stock them, no one wants to check what's been used, what hasn't been used. But you give people free stuff at a minibar,
mm.
little biscuits, little chocolate treats, whatever it may be, the value add and the loyalty you get from the guest is like genius.
Yeah, 100%.
Genius, and even like we sometimes used to do in By Chloe, even in Shake Shack, where we would make too much of a product
Mm,
and we would do staff meals with it,
mm,
you know, all the bits of the salad leaf that we're not going to use because it's not on brand, right?
mm.
No, would make something with it and make a pasta with it, loads of pasta. Someone's made too much, it's not going in the bin. That's what normally happen.
Yeah.
We would give the team a little bit of free reign and try to make food that we were selling, not a crappier version of what we're selling. So, like, I think also being sustainable is about how you look after that team in that business, right? We're
Mm,
talking about, the heat in the kitchen with the electric inductions and taking out the gas. It makes the team feel better, and they're the ones
yeah.
who are going to deliver any sustainability, planet conscious
Mm.
initiative you have.
Yeah, I love that. I'm that leads me nicely onto tech,
Yep.
and I think there's a couple of things that I just want to tell people about here. One is you can get some amazing readers that go onto your bins now that's driven through AI that will tell you exactly what's going in the bin. And I've seen this in action. A shout out to our clients, the Social Hub. This was in place when we went to go look at the kitchen there, and they were seeing some phenomenal results. They had two bins, one for guests, and one for kitchen. And the AI reader over time could learn exactly what was going in each bin. And they then could make decisions on, was there a training issue because certain yields weren't being delivered in the back? Was there too much trimmings going from the meats, and therefore the team needed training on how to trim the beef properly? Or is it a decision to then buy in trimmed meats? What was coming back off the buffet? And some of that wasn't necessarily about like cutting products, but it was, is the guest actually eating it? Do we need to replace it for another item? And therefore, then it was adding more value to the guest while reducing wastage because what you were replacing it with was there. I guess the other argument to that would be, does that then show, do you need as many products on the buffet? But there's some amazing stuff out there now that can really help operators save cash and deliver that kind of eco planet conscious message as well. So that's probably the first one for me. And the second one is, don't underestimate the power of your inventory system to help you eliminate wastage. Like when we were in the investment business, we used to get the wastage on our daily reports every single night, because sometimes someone's seeing a £500 day of waste because things were left over, someone dropped something on the floor, whatever it might be. Makes a massive difference to people's mentality. Back to what you were saying, like, get the team involved, get them to understand, get them to care, and it has a massive impact, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
some people might be sitting here now going, I'm never going to get an AI reader signed off. Brilliant. Just analyze the right lines in your inventory system.
Yeah. Yeah. And you add the different section, especially in a hotel, bar, kitchen, cafe, coffee, and then the different day parts, breakfast, lunch, dinner, afternoon tea. You're going to get to £500 very quickly if you're not careful. And then when you say, right, I need a point on my food cost, that's where it is.
Mm,
That's where it is. And also, there's AI out there that will tap into your EPOS and your inventory system that will help you with your par levels,
mm,
what to prep. That's bakery items that you're just displaying maybe or buying in. That could be batch recipes, you know. Um, and it's doing it for you, saving you a little bit of time. There could be a labor implication, but I don't think that's the driver here. The driver is not to waste, So
And like
definitely,
what we've seen with clear cogs when
yeah,
we've
that's
used
it.
clear
Clear cogs,
cogs
yeah,
is actually, we're not 86 in items as often. So not only are we not over prepping, but we're not under prepping because we're
correct.
conscious about food waste. And I think that's the other piece, isn't it? Is it's not easy being operators, because
Yeah,
you're on that fine balance all the time, and it's really easy to look from the outside in and go, you've made too much. Okay, then, well, I won't prep as much. Oh, but now we've got 86. So it's really difficult. And using some of these products to help makes a massive, massive difference. Now, going on to number 4, I want to talk here about training,
right.
because this might seem a crazy one, right?
Yeah,
But the best way to be planet conscious is to train your people and to tell them what you're doing to be planet conscious. Because I read a stat about how one of the biggest drivers of Gen Z now, when they're looking for employers, is what they're doing for the planet. So if you want to attract the best talent, you have to know what you're doing, and you have to be doing it for those people to want to work for you. But then when they come in, back to my example about trimming the beef, if you aren't training your team properly to manage the buffet, like manage how much goes out, look at trimmings, look at batch products, look at production. If you're not training your people properly, all that's going to happen is it's going to result in waste. We're picking on the kitchen here a little bit, but not necessarily just the kitchen. It can be meeting and events when they're putting sweets out all the time, or in the
Mhm.
bar when they're doing, sugar syrups and batch recipes and things like that. So I think training's a huge piece on this, to be able to just be a bit more conscious of the waste that's happening in the business overall.
It's massive. It's massive. You know, you go from, I think we covered this previously in another section where we talk about scoops, right? If you're training people how to present a dish, how to read parts, how to implement any tech you may be doing, how to um, free pour, and how you're measuring that, you know, everything. You training your people to tell the guests how planet conscious you are. It's a conversation. And then people, like you said, new generations of today are very planet conscious. You know, the consumer is more conscious overall about the quality, where your product's coming from, how is it being cooked, what ingredients are you using? Waste is a massive one. It's everywhere. Zero waste, zero waste, zero waste. How many zero waste products do we see? You like the one you guys did in Chestnut. So training is big, and it starts from day one. You have to, talk
100%.
it, walk it, everything.
Mm. The last one, number 5, I've named this, you don't need a QR code to be sustainable, right? Because as a guy who now has to wear glasses to read anything, as my
That's why we've got mine on.
my wife always laughs at me when I'm in, I refuse to turn my iPhone light on. I'd rather just struggle through. Is I still don't like QR codes. I'm sorry. Sorry to the QR code providers here. I love to touch and feel a menu. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you don't have to be conscious. And this is where, for me, conscious is the word that you should live by, because if you're being eco, you probably would go with the QR ordering. If you're being conscious, you don't. And one of the things that we've looked at the past with it was actually Adam Simmons who was building a brand that was very eco conscious, was there's a business out there, I'll drop it in the show notes, that you can send your old coffee grinds to, or your old citrus peels to, and they make paper with it, and you can then buy that paper in whatever color. It's obviously quite natural, but there's different color shades depending on whether it's orange peel, coffee, or whatever it might be. And you could then buy that back, and that's what your menu's printed on. So you have this nice ecosystem of where you can kind of recycle the waste that's coming out of your business. And I just think, my message from this was, don't always think that taking something away means it's eco-friendly or it's planet conscious or whatever it might be. Always think about the guest, put the guest first, and find the most planet conscious solution that fits within it, if that's what's important to your business.
Yeah, like, right at the beginning, I was saying wooden knife and forks, right? And you said it's about being conscious and striking a balance.
Mm.
Okay. There's a time and space for QR codes, poolside beds. You're right. You've got loads of different sections. You want to increase your order time, all of that rubbish. But a menu printed with coffee grains that come out your restaurant or orange peel that come out your restaurant, and you're creating your own kind of recycling ecosystem is more powerful than going, we no longer use paper.
Yeah.
It's more powerful for the consumer. It's much more of a powerful message. You are showing how you're reducing waste. You might not be using more paper. If that's the case, you how have you offset that? Now, you're gonna be doing, is your tech thing gonna go up? I don't know. How are you putting your QR codes out there? Are you taking all paper out? Are there, are your little postcards that you're giving to your guests, have they gone too? You can go down a wormhole and it might be an important touch point of your business, but I'm not a QR code hater. Yeah. But definitely, I think, we should use them wisely. I think COVID has got a lot to do with the QR code gang, right?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? There's a time and a place, and
Yeah.
we've recommended putting QR codes into a leisure side of a business with 300 beds, and just it just didn't warrant the amount of people that would have taken to service it. So there is times and places. I shared a post about when I was on vacation in Sydney, and the pool deck had a load of takeaway packaging in the bin. all it needed was a QR code on the table, and they would have had five. I think I worked it out that there'd be 500 grand in potential revenue that they could have made from it. So I think there's times and places for QR codes, but I don't think it should be at the detriment of experience. And we were working with another client who they had iPads, and they gave menus out on iPads. And one of the things that we challenged them on was, is it actually impacting your revenue? Because people aren't sitting there looking at a menu. Maybe they scan over something to eat and think, oh, not quite now. But then that dish sits in the mind as they're having the meeting. And before they run to the next one, they go, oh, do you know what? Actually, yeah, I'll just have something. Or what we found there was that they were really heavy in classic cocktails, but they had really good like house designed cocktails. And one of the things we thought was, is the way that the menu on the iPad works actually quite difficult to navigate? So someone just resorts to what they always know. So instead of going to look for the house specials, it's like, oh, I just have a margarita, and we challenge that theory. And yeah, it just goes to show that sometimes decisions made in that way don't necessarily go to the guest in the way that you intend them. And actually getting a really nice piece of paper like we just talked about and putting the story on the bottom to go, this has been made with coffee granules that have been consumed within the hotel. Sometimes that can have a far stronger message than an iPad that sometimes people might not see because they just order the margarita because they don't think there's a menu. So we've picked on the QR code, but there's other examples like the iPads and things like that that just do it. I tell you the other thing as well before we go. My pet hate is, don't think that by not giving your team members notepads to take orders, that by giving them a tablet makes it more eco-friendly. Because what drives me insane when I get an order taken by someone who's on a tablet is that they never look up, because they're
Yeah.
always too busy navigating screens.
Experience, Scott. You
So at
just
no
said it, right?
point do they look up like this,
Mm.
right? I was in a big chain, and I really want to say the word, but I won't do it. I was in a big chain here in the UK, Asian brand, and the lady took my order, and she was super nice, but she didn't look at us all the way through until the end when she repeated her order back. And I just thought, like, she had such a personality. I just thought it was a real waste of great talent to be looking down trying to navigate some Micros handheld system that was going too slow. So
Yeah,
um,
you said at the beginning, like challenge your people who are designing, when we were talking about the refrigeration thing, challenge your people who are designing to come up with solutions. And this is like at the detriment of experience.
mm,
You didn't have an experience really with that server.
mm,
That we are in the people experience business.
mm,
That's what we give experiences. That's what we're here to do.
yeah,
Well, let's not
it's true.
detriment that. Yeah, I'm with you on the QR codes, mate. I think I'm a converted Healy. Bit more work
Good.
to do.
There we go. Perfect. Right. There's lots more stuff I need to convince you on. So that's it for being planet conscious this time. We'll have another interesting topic coming up soon where we'll give you our opinions and bits and pieces. And likewise, if there's anything that you guys want to hear or want to listen to or want us to give you our opinion on, our experience on,
Hola.
after collective years of about 50 maybe together, something like that,
Yeah.
reach out on LinkedIn, me or Bal. We'll put the profiles in the show notes, and reach out to us, ask us to talk about something, and we'll get on and we'll have a natter and all the rest of it. We'll be doing some of these in person as well. So
Yeah, you just
yeah,
gave me an idea.
we can have some bants. Go on.
Yeah.
What's your idea?
No, your idea was, and not a live stream. Live
Yeah,
stream, you get ideas, people asking you questions,
yeah,
where you can take a group of questions, a bunch of questions, and answer them in here.
yeah. We
You
should
know,
do that. A bit like
beginning and end, a bit
this
like
is
Stephen
football,
Bartlett.
right?
Sorry?
Yeah, a bit like this is football. I did it with
Yeah.
Steve Turk. It was a good format. It was a good format doing it, and people can't comment back on the chat as well, so you're not worried about what the reaction is.
So we can say what we want.
Exactly.
Talk shit.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. That was a good one. That I really enjoyed that. I think there's lots of amazing takeaways. Yeah, listen back to it and pick them out again if you didn't get them now. But we covered design, we covered food waste, we covered tech, we covered training, and we covered you don't need a QR code to be sustainable. I think that's quite good. And yeah, nice one. Thanks,
Nice
pal.
one. Ciao.